Hello everyone, welcome to another predictions video, and with 2 weeks to go before early release for Dawn Trail, the truth will soon be revealed. So this is going to be a quick explanation of what I think could be waiting for us just based off what I personally would like to see. And it might be completely wrong, but gotta get more predictions and rumors out there while we can. With the latest letter from the producer we had earlier today, we were finally given the launch trailer that gave us our first decent look at what is waiting for us in the new expansion. With so many new places to look forward to, it's anyone's guess to how this new story is going to start off the new saga for 14. But the one thing I think that a lot of people, perhaps most people, are most eager to learn about is one of the new zones, namely Solution 9. So Final Fantasy XIV has always had traces of sci-fi mixed into the high fantasy aspects, with traces seen throughout A Realm Reborn to Endwalker. But it really wasn't until Endwalker did we start to see sci-fi really taking a more active role, what with us traveling through both time and then going into outer space, for example. But Solution 9, this is a really high-tech city. It's full cyberpunk mode here, and completely different to any other place that we've seen so far. I think the closest that we've had would probably be Ultima Thule when we visited the Omicrons, but even then that was just a small part of the zone, which is literally at the edge of creation. But we're still on Aetheris at this point, and not only that, we're in the New World, where a lot of this place in the New World is undiscovered. This is definitely not the place you would expect a highly technological city to be. So, what the heck is Solution 9? How could it possibly exist? Now, I've seen a few theories about Solution 9 already. I've heard everything about it, from it being left behind by the Allagons, to it actually being Azem's option in trying to survive the final days, how they built to save the data of a civilization about to collapse, and perhaps digitized versions of the ancients save themselves to be awakened later down the line. That there are some ancients alive in some kind of suspension pods and living with their minds remotely, or having some kind of genomes caretakers before something caused them to awaken, like Zodiark's destruction, for example. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that would be really cool, but I don't see any of those options really being realistic here. I mean, first of all, this sure doesn't look like any kind of Allagon technology. Which is actually kind of a relief, to be honest, because I wasn't so sure I wanted to hear again about Allag right away. I mean, a lot of our problems in this world seem to come from Allag. If it's not Allagon technology that's ruining our day, it's something that they did way back then that we're suffering the consequences for now. So, all in all, I don't think that it's actually anything to do with the Allagons. I mean, if you look at this city in comparison to a lot of other ruins left behind by Allag, the design is definitely very different. So unless some Allagons somehow managed to escape the destruction of their civilization and have been living in secret for the last few thousand years and been perfecting their technology during that time, I really doubt this has anything to do with Allag. And another guess was that this was left behind by the Amyradians. I mean, there was a quest in the Tempest where one of the memory Amyradians mentioned their neighbors across the pond. And it's later stated that the term across the pond means the ocean, meaning that there was another culture that was implied not to be Amyradian in nature, or at the very least they weren't from the same region as the ancients who later became the Ascians. And of course, there are some rumors that maybe this was supposed to be some kind of shelter that Azem built during the final days. And yeah, I'm sorry, but I have to debunk this. It just does not make sense for me, because granted, while I really would love to know what Azem was doing during the final days, I don't think it was this. Not only that, but we did have a lot of information about the Amyradians in the last expansion, so do we really want to go back there again? And not only that, this place doesn't seem like Amyrodian architecture at all. I mean, there are billboards and advertisement, for example, and the ancients didn't need such things. They could just magically create whatever they needed. Personally, what I think that Solution 9 is a city of survivors of another shard, and they're just hiding out in a small section of the source. Now, the theory is that the souls of people from another shard, I personally think the 12th shard, escaped the rejoining of that shard by traveling to the source. Once they arrived, they were able to create Solution 9 as a kind of sanctuary for them. If this is true, then Solution 9 would already be thousands of years more advanced than any other, because it's basically been running and existing since the second Umbral Calamity. But why the 12th shard in particular? Well, it was shared that the 12th shard was lost during the second Umbral Calamity, which was the Calamity of Lightning, which was about roughly 10,000 years ago, the equivalent for the Bronze Age for Eorzea. Now, during the Calamity of Lightning, lightning literally rained down from the skies consistently and constantly for an entire year. This ended up leveling mountains, dried up lakes and rivers, and people were forced to seek protection inside caves or other underground shelters. It was that year of being trapped underground that magic was first discovered. But where did all that lightning aspected ether come from? Could it be possible that the ones who dwell in Solution 9 are the survivors from another shard that was already rejoined to the source? We know that time between shards can move very differently. I mean, if you look at the first and the source as the perfect example, when Menphelia left us in the source, it had only been a few weeks, a couple months at most since we last saw her. But between her arrival on the first and then us later traveling to the first as well, that had been a full 100 years. And another example would be on the 13th shard. Before it became the void that we know of today, we did get a glimpse of what the world had been like before the Flood of Darkness. Remember, this was the Ascians' first attempt to trigger a rejoining, so calamities wasn't a thing yet. The people of the source were still kind of in the Stone Age at this time, but the people of the 13th already looked like they were in the medieval times at the very latest. I mean, just imagine if the flood never happened and the people were allowed to progress from that point forward. I mean, they probably would be traveling out to space by now. And there's also the fact that the source does have to almost start over from scratch after every calamity anyway, which would hold back a lot of innovations during that time. So I guess it's certainly possible that the other shards have grown in leaps and bounds ahead in terms of advancements. Perhaps there was a civilization on another shard who not only discovered the existence of the other shards as well as the source, but also had to travel across the rift. Now, this would definitely be getting Y'shtola's attention because we all know that's her biggest dream right now. She wants to be able to learn how to travel to the other remaining shards. And maybe that's the reason why she ends up going to the New World, because as soon as news reaches her ears that we have an entire civilization of people from the 12th arriving here thousands of years ago, she'd be on the first boat to the New World faster than blinking. And if these people really do come from a destroyed shard, maybe they realize what the Ascians were doing way back then and, failing to stop them, were forced to evacuate as many people as they could to the source ahead of the rejoining. So it is possible that the people of the 12th were highly advanced and were able to use lightning aspected ether to power their cities. At least that's how it looks like when you look at Solution 9 or Heritage Found. The exact circumstances for the 12th being rejoined with the source are unknown. I mean, we know that it was the destruction of nature and pollution that caused the people of Aetheris to set the stage for the calamity on the source. But what event happened in the 12th that caused them to be rejoined? Perhaps there was a war, perhaps they used up all their resources and the people ended up polluting their own world to such a degree that it was no longer livable. Either way, something that they did caused a rejoining, and those of Solution 9 are just possibly the remaining survivors. It's possible that those survivors banded together just as their world was about to be destroyed, built some kind of an ark where the survivors themselves, or maybe just their souls, were stored away, and they made the journey across the rift to the source. Much like how the other Scion souls were transported to the first. And if you look at the trailer here, in one section of Solution 9, we do see some advertisement that was printed in the proto-alphabet of all things, and it says Soul Supply. Now that is suspicious. But if this is all true, why would they hide themselves away? I think that there's one of two options. The first of which is that they're trying to find a way to undo the rejoining and maybe restore their world, which I highly doubt that would be possible. Or maybe they're waiting for the source to reach their level of technology before they emerge. I kind of like to imagine that Solution 9 is the City of Gold that was talked about in legend, and that this was a place that Galu Jaja visited in his youth. And it was here he came to learn about the world, about the shards, and maybe about history itself. And because of what he learned there, he was able to unite the people of Tuliyollal under him. I mean, that would explain why he was insistent upon having this contest and see if any of the contestants can accomplish what he did and find the City of Gold. So is it possible that Solution 9 is, in fact, the Golden City? And if so, is Solution 9 going to include the revival of a race, or maybe its complete destruction? If we look at the launch trailer, we did see what looked like the inhabitants of Solution 9 waging war in Tuliyollal, even attacking unarmed citizens in the streets. So I kind of see the idea of the warmongering participants wanting to weaponize Solution 9, and this could be the perfect way for people to see this kind of behavior and realize that they would be screwed if such a guy became the Dawn Servant, and this might cause them to throw in their support behind Wuklammet. We do know there's supposed to be a lot of Final Fantasy IX references in this expansion, and this kind of reminds me a bit about how Terra was stuck inside of Gaia. And actually, Solution 9 is the name of an ability that Zidane himself uses while in trance mode. In that game, it was supposed to be someone like Kuja or Zidane who was supposed to bring in the destruction of Gaia so that Terra could live. So it could be something similar along these lines, especially since we still don't know who this mysterious girl at the top of the poster is yet. But also, Final Fantasy IX's plot involves a world merging with another, which causes one world's buildings to appear on the surface of the other. If Solution 9 is as big and as advanced as we imagine it to be, how come it's never been discovered before now? Is it possible that it exists, but maybe not in a completed sense? Like maybe it's much more of a digital version that somehow is maybe in like a little pocket universe. Well, that's really difficult to say at this point. Again, if we look at the trailer, we did see what looked like a large, lightning-aspected, domed bubble. So I think it's safe to say that Solution 9 and Heritage Found might be located directly in there. As to where exactly this whole story is going to lead, I honestly have no idea here. Because if this is a surviving civilization from another shard, are we going to be able to help merge these two vastly different worlds together? Either way, this certainly isn't going to be some fun vacation in the sun like many first expected. Almost makes me fear for what is possibly waiting for us next, and really question what this game has become, honestly. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all like my predictions for Solution 9, are just as excited as I am for what Dawn Trail has waiting for us next. Honestly, I have no idea where this story is going to lead up, but you know what? I'm in this for the long run. I hope you all are too. And I think I should be able to put out one more prediction video before Dawn Trail comes out. It should be out next week. And it's just going to be my idea of a basic storyline to what could be waiting for us. I predict I'm going to be completely off with that, but you know what? Why not? Anyway, everyone, that's it for right now. I hope to see you all again soon. And until next time, everyone, take care.